Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Rune Words. So today we're going to be looking at a very interesting rune word, one that I used recently, believe it or not, on a spear Amazon. I put it in a very nice Amazon-only spear that had +3 to all skills, and it combined with the +1 to skills that is on honor, and I was running +4 to all skills, which was freaking awesome for my spear Amazon. And for quite some time, she was really rocking this weapon quite hard, and I actually really enjoyed it. This particular rune word is only level 27, which is not bad, and it has some very nice effects for a lot of characters. It does have a very high number of rune requirement, though. Although they are not expensive, it does have 5 runes that are required to be put in here, and you will have a little bit of difficulty finding 5 socket bases. There are a lot of weapons in the game, and not all weapons can have 5 sockets. For instance, a sword like this can only have 3, and so you would not be able to use this for a base for an honor. It would have to be something with a lot more sockets. And this particular rune word is very interesting because it has a lot of very nice effects on it, and we're going to go over those together. So it has +1 to all skills right off the bat, and as you can see, just very nice. Having +1 to all skills on a weapon is certainly going to be a nice boon, and if you put this in a one-handed weapon, which it will work in pretty much any melee weapon as long as it has 5 sockets, it can be very effective, especially if you were to find a very nice War Scepter, which I'm pretty sure War Scepters are 5 socket. Let me just double check on that. Yes, War Scepters can be 5 sockets, although you might not find them in normal difficulty. But if you did find a War Scepter that had the right plus to skills on it with 5 sockets, you could theoretically get a very nice effect of, say, for instance, +3 concentration with +1 to all skills, so you'd be looking at +4 to concentration. Or maybe if you found a +3 concentration, +3 Blessed Hammer, you put Honor in here, you'd get +4 to all those skills, and that would be an absolutely excellent use of those plus to skills. So we also have 160% enhanced damage, which I do not believe varies. No, it does not. I don't think anything varies on this weapon. We have +9 to min and +9 to max, which are both very nice to have. +250 to attack rating, which is a really nice attack rating bonus for just in general at level 27. That's rather huge. 7% lifesteal, which is very nice to have for a melee character. 25% chance of deadly strike, which is very nice for dealing double damage. And if you were using this on a barbarian who has critical strike, it is going to stack with critical strike in an interesting way. So critical strike is double damage and deadly strike is double damage, and while you cannot get 4 times damage, that's not going to happen. What will happen is critical strike will roll first, deadly strike will roll second, and as long as at least one of them succeeds in rolling, you will still get double damage. And because they both roll with their own separate chance, it is a probability increase. So for instance, if you had 50% chance of deadly strike and 50% chance of crit, you would essentially have a probability of about 75% of getting at least 1 critical strike between the 2. And I could be off on my probability numbers there. If anybody wants to feel free to correct me on that, you're more than welcome to. We also have +10 to strength, which is always going to be helpful for putting on equipment, and it will help increase your damage a little bit. We have Replenish Life +10, which at level 27 is actually kind of nice to have. +2 to mana after each kill, which is great for melee characters, because that +2 to mana after each kill is going to help restore things like Zeal, which if you're using Zeal, it has a cost of 2 mana. Or if you're using say bash, or if you're using double swing or anything like that, those effects are going to help restore your mana every single time you make a kill, keeping your mana pool full. And I imagine if you had this on dual wield and you were using 2 of these, you would get +4 to mana after each kill. So that's nice. And we also have +1 light radius, which is not the greatest thing in the world, but yeah. All in all, this weapon is very interesting, and it is definitely something that can be made. with only runes that drop from Countess in Nightmare difficulty. So around level 27 is about the point at which you're going to get to Nightmare difficulty, and as a melee character, you're going to need a somewhat more serious weapon than some of the other weapons that you've used up till now. And this one in particular only requires AmnElIthTirSol. The most expensive rune in that entire recipe is the Soul rune, and you will find those in normal difficulty around like Act 5, Act 4, usually like in Chaos Sanctuary and stuff like that. They do tend to drop, although you're going to find them more often in Nightmare difficulty than you will in normal. And you can find all of these runes from Nightmare Countess. So if you farm Nightmare Countess a little bit, you will get the Amn'el, the Tyr, and the Soul rune from her, and eventually you can create your own honor, or 2 honors if you want to dual wield them. And all in all, I was very impressed with this particular rune word. I made it in a Amazon only pike, specifically for my Amazon, who is going to be a spear Amazon. I know spear Amazons are trash. Don't get me started. I like a challenge. So I made it for her, and I was very impressed with how much damage it put out. I was very impressed with how easily it made Nightmare difficulty. But when I got to Hell difficulty, it was definitely something that I needed to replace. It was not something that I wanted to hang on to, so it definitely wanes off toward the end. And I could totally see using this specifically for the +1 to all skills. If you found a very nice weapon, a War Scepter, with the right plus the skills, I could definitely see putting this on a Hammerdin, or a Zealadin, or a Conviction Paladin, or I mean, there's tons of different possibilities of the plus to skills along with the +1 to all skills on the weapon that could come into handy to work very well. And it's not a bad weapon either. So if you were a Zeal Paladin, I could see using this. Now it doesn't have any increased attack speed, which might make it a poor choice for a Druid, who is a shapeshifter, a whirlwind barbarian, or perhaps a character that doesn't have any form of increase to attack speed. Like maybe you are, I don't know, maybe you're trying to use it on a Zeal Paladin, but it's just not quite fast enough, or you don't have Fanaticism yet, or whatever's going on. And then maybe once you do get Fanaticism, you might come back to this and see if it works a little bit better. On a Paladin specifically, that Deadly Strike is going to be very, very valuable to them because they don't have any form of critical strike. So whereas Amazons, Barbarians, and Assassins all have critical strike, Paladins and Druids and whatnot do not. So having that Deadly Strike is going to be their only form of double damage, which will definitely be very nice for them. And all in all, it's a very interesting rune word, very cheap rune word. You do have to find the right base, though. So if you don't want to just throw this in any 5-socket item, you want to find a 5-socket item which will work good for you. In fact, since it's level 27, you might want to find a Nightmare base to put this in, specifically because the Nightmare bases are already going to have a level 25 requirement, because that's what most level Nightmare bases have, or exceptional bases, if that's what you'd like to call them. And this will make them very, 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 very powerful compared to the normal difficulty bases. Also, some of the Nightmare difficulty bases have lower stats than the Hell one, the normal difficulty ones, and some of the Nightmare bases have higher stats than the normal difficulty ones. You really have to pay attention to that. So keep that in mind. You could put this in a Naga for a Frenzy barbarian. You could put this in a Divine Scepter for a Paladin. You could put this in like I said, one of the Amazon only spears, like a pike. I believe it's a ceremonial pike or matriarchal pike, things like that, for the Amazon. You could even put this in a I'm trying to think if there's a 5-socket staff. You could even put this in a staff. It really just depends on what you're specifically trying to get. Now, the lack of increased attack speed does make the choices a little bit lower. I probably wouldn't want to use this on a Druid because it would be really slow, unless I made it in a very fast base. Like maybe if I put it in a Phase Blade. But I don't know if that would really be worth the trouble. Yeah. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching these videos, and I hope that the vision of my necromancer running around with a two-handed sword is enough to make you laugh. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.